Welcome to Smarter Spend Management for Lean Finance Teams, a roundtable panel discussion brought to you by the Controllers Council. My name is Neil Brown, Executive Director of the Controllers Council, and before I introduce our expert panelists and our partner sponsor, let me share some brief housekeeping items. First, this webinar is CPE eligible with 4 polling questions. So please answer 3 of 4 polls, and if not CPE, please answer simply to benchmark your peers. Also, we'll have a quick survey at the end of the presentation, so please complete that survey for CPE. And next, we'll have Q&A at the end of the presentation, so use your GoToWebinar control panel to ask our experts questions. And finally, you'll receive a link to this webcast via email in the next 24 hours, so no need for notes or screenshots. So with that, it's my pleasure to introduce our sponsor and partner, Ramp, a financial operations platform designed to save companies time and money. With built-in intelligence and controls, we automate tedious tasks and maximize the impact of every dollar and every hour spent. Expenses that do themselves, books that close themselves, dollars that find the highest earn. Everything we do has to save customers time or money, or we don't do it. That's why the best run companies run on Ramp. Learn more at www.ramp.com. And with that, I'm very pleased to introduce our panelists and subject matter experts, Nwokedi Mbanugo and Audrey Carroll. Nwokedi is Global Controller at Tailscale, a tech startup provider of private, secure VPN networks. Nwokedi is a CPA and a 14-year veteran of startups and public accounting at PwC and KPMG. He earned a BS and an MBA from New Mexico State, where he was on the football team, and he resides in the San Francisco Bay Area. Audrey Carroll is a CPA and accounting senior manager at Ramp, with over 10 years of experience across public and private companies. Prior to Ramp, she held roles at EY and Peloton, where she developed deep expertise in financial reporting, compliance, and operational accounting. Audrey earned a BS Business and Accounting with honors from St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia. Panelists, welcome.
Hey there, thanks for having me.
You bet. Well, we're gonna dig right into our panel. And this is an easy one. Just tell us a little bit about your company and your finance and accounting organization. Nwokedi, do you want to start?
Sure. Thanks for the warm introduction, Neil. And just like Neil said, I work at Tailscale, which is a VPN software. Long story short, Tailscale makes it easier for you to connect your devices in a secure and easy way, like your laptops, your phones, different servers. And you can connect all of them over the internet, no matter where you are, as if they're all on the same private network. A little bit about our finance and accounting team. I am the controller here, like you all know. I report to the VP of Finance. We currently have a team of 5 people. So within the finance org, we have the VP of Finance and we have a manager of strategic finance. And then within my org, the accounting department, I have myself, the controller, and I have 2 accounting managers currently.
Excellent. And Audrey, how about yourself?
Yeah, and Neil, as you said before, Ramp is a expense management platform that's designed to help businesses save time and money by automating and streamlining finance tasks. So it combines everything from corporate cards to expense management, bill payments, procurement, vendor management, and ultimately accounting automation all in a single solution. My accounting team uses our own product every day to, pay our bills, make sure, review our employee, credit card transactions and reimbursements, and ultimately perform our month-end close. And then our team is structured very similarly to Nwokedi. We, under the finance umbrella, we have the accounting team, and we're currently made up of 5 team members. We have our AP specialist, our kind of core accounting team who is doing our month-end close and our audit, and then we have our tax specialist as well. And then kind of under the finance umbrella that we work really closely is our FP&A team. We work really, aligned with them to make sure that we're managing spend and expenses and align with their forecasts and budgets.
Neat. And I also saw in some of the background of Ramp that you were recently valued at $14 billion with your latest round. So is that a correct amount, 14 billion?
Yeah. The growth has been crazy. I've been there for the last 3 years, so it's been great to just see, how our valuation, as well as just the customers that we've expanded to, the product lines that we've, added to our solution. So the growth has been really exciting. And as you can imagine, on the accounting team, we feel the impact of that growth.
You bet. And Nwokedi, I saw that your company raised a Series C, a multi-million-dollar funding as well.
Yes, we did. We recently just closed our Series C of $160 million. So yeah, we're quite excited over here. And just like Audrey mentioned, as you can imagine, within the accounting, finance, and deal desk world of Tailscale, we're definitely feeling the growth. But all good problems to have, obviously.
You bet. Let's get to our second question, which brings us to the topic of the panel. What roles or function manages spend and expense management in your F&A department, and how does this function interact with other departments in the company? So Audrey, why don't you take this one first?
Yeah, so I named some of these roles and teams, for the last question, but I'll start with our AP specialist. So, this role is handling everything from vendor onboarding, processing vendor invoices, reviewing all of our over 1,200 employee credit card transactions and reimbursements, ultimately ensuring that all of our payments are made accurately and on time. And then that role communicates with department leaders across the business just to make sure that invoices and other expenses are coded to the appropriate departments and are ultimately, being coded to the correct budgets. And then that kind of leads into our FP&A team, where I mentioned they oversee our budgeting and forecasting. So they're also working with those department leaders to understand what each of those teams, what their spending needs are for the year, and are creating realistic budgets. And then my accounting team, we work really closely with them to monitor the actual expenses versus the budgeted expenses, just to control overspending, underspending, ultimately just making sure we're aligning with the strategic goals. And then my accounting team, we're ensuring that we're compliant with accounting standards and internal controls, ensuring that employees are following our expense policy when making purchases, ensuring that purchases are following the appropriate approval matrix, and then ultimately just reviewing and approving major expenditures and expense reports. And then kind of lastly, our procurement function. Right now it's kind of handled across, a bit of legal, IT, and finance, but that group, they're working with vendors, they're negotiating the contracts and ultimately approving the purchase orders that then my accounting team and AP team are making sure our spend and our invoices are being applied appropriately to those POs. So kind of all 4 of these groups work, hand in hand and together to kind of oversee and manage spend.
Neat. Thank you for that. Now we're going to get to our first of 4 polling questions. So let me launch that. And that is, what spend and expense workflows does your finance and accounting department use? Select all that applies. So attendees, please take a few seconds. And all voting is confidential, anonymous. And we won't spend too much time talking about it, but our polls do relate to our panel questions as well. So it's kind of nice to have that to compare. And boy, we got fast voting today. So I am going to shut her down and share the results. So Look at the way we arrayed that. AP, pretty obvious, 92%. Corporate cards is close second, or a second, 72% with travel and expense reporting. Right there at 70, mobile apps and AI at 18, and only 2% not sure. So I don't think we'll